I've been working in government now for just over 2 years, and the experience has been absolutely life-changing for so many reasons. But the one reason I want to talk about now is I've seen how the implementation of policy actually affects lives. I think it's easy at times to feel overwhelmed by the extent of the problems globally or in South Africa in your community and not really know the steps to take to get there. And then you hear people saying, register to vote. And it feels kind of detached. I think especially can be jaded in South Africa. We've had a democracy that is as old as my life. And let's say you haven't seen any positive change in your community, and so you're feeling jaded. You're like, nothing's going to happen anyways. Often we talk at a very abstract level. A citizen in South Africa at a bride dinner party talking about policy, talking about economics, talking about the decisions we make, you're voting, whatever it is. Or at a broader level, people often throw around terminology. And before I got involved in this, I used to feel a bit like I was embarrassed to ask what some of these terms meant. It feels really abstract. You can listen to the State of the Nation address or to the budget address and you hear about where money's going. Oh, we need more money here, we need more investment here, R1 billion here, we need 3 billion there, we need whatever it is. But then what it comes down to is, how is this money being spent to progress a country? Why do some nations succeed and some nations fail? How do you go the route of South Korea instead of going the route of an Argentina? What are the decisions that are happening? And it is policy decisions that drive that. Some people might say, well, South Africa at the whim of the global economy. And in a sense, in an interconnected, globalized world, that is true to a certain degree. But it's not the global economy that gave us load shedding or failing logistics, so we can't export our commodities to the ports, or ports that aren't working, or the fact that we can't get Starlink in South Africa with more internet options and connectivity options, which we need in the country, because it doesn't meet policy requirements that are very contentious. So what I saw through my lived experience of working in government, you had this discussion from the finance minister, from National Treasury, saying the budget for, in my context, being a director of the National Youth Development Agency, so let's say the budget for youth development is, for example, R1 billion. So that comes through our agency. The question is, how do we spend this money to improve the lives of our citizens, to grow the economy, to make a nation thrive? And these are decisions that has to be made. This doesn't just happen, out of nowhere. It's people sitting in rooms making decisions. Who are those decision makers? It's the people you're voting for. It's the people you're voting for that decide how much money goes to which department, goes to which ministry, goes to which state-owned enterprises. Okay, cool. Now within this agency, within this ministry, within this whatever, within this hospital, if it's a state hospital, you got this cash. Now you look at what the goal is, right? We need to promote youth development, and that means entrepreneurship, it means education, it means upskilling, it means general health, all the facets that make the youth thrive. That is what we need to focus on. Right, so where does this R1 billion go? And now you're at the coalface of what development means. Okay, we're going to allocate, let's say, 200 million rand into our national youth service. Why have a national youth service? We look at the data of other countries. You've seen that when other countries have a national youth service, it leads to X rates of employability, it leads to skills development, it gets youth that aren't in formal education training, that aren't in a job, gets them to work, boosts morale for unemployed young people, and that boost in morale has shown to lead to these young people then giving more vigor into a job search when so many people have given up. So you look at all the data around the world and you say, let's emulate this here on a small scale. And you start building it up and you look at the results and you're like, okay, now spend 200 million rand. Of that, how much value we generate? I really see it quite similar to running a business. Lack of experience with running my business. We assign a budget every year. We then allocate the money out. If it's marketing, if it's hiring, we do it based on where we think we need to put the money so the business grows. And obviously for business, your metric is making revenue. So go back to government. If our metric is GDP growth, if it's a reduction in unemployment, it's an increase in education numbers, if it's an increase in the number of housing, in foreign investment coming in, and the number of exports going out, all these factors that measure a healthy country, what are the decisions you're making to get this? Quite an easy one for us to measure at NYDA is the youth unemployment rate. Are the actions we're taking through spending on NYS, through our entrepreneurship programs, is that leading to a reduction in unemployment rates? If we spend extra on this program, how many young people do you think we're going to be employed? Are these young people now going to become taxpayers? Are they going to support their own families? Are they going to start their own businesses? And what's so fantastic is that now to the level of the individual. So you go from this really high level abstract, here's the national budget, here's the treasury allocations, right through to the ministries, to the agencies, then you take it to the agency and then you facilitate it out into different programs. And now from the program, let's look at the individuals. Obviously you need this in big numbers. We have millions of unemployed youth. So it's like, how do you tackle these huge numbers? Or you have a multifaceted approach. And the one approach, let's say now, is this upskilling program. Within that, then you're saying, okay, we're going to allocate 2,000 young people to this program. You then get to the individuals and you say, of these young people that were trained, what are the results of that? And I find this so interesting because now you're looking at the effectiveness, and almost I would say like the conversion rate from a high level policy that then lead to an effective system. But the point of all this is decision making. This is policy. Again, this is the people that you're voting in. These are the people that you're trusting to make the right decisions. Because as private citizens, you should be able to trust that your elected government officials are making the right decisions for you and spending your tax money effectively, efficiently, and ethically.